Patriot by Franks Boots is the best value American-made work boot going today, and possibly one of the worst business decisions ever. Welcome, I'm Carl Murawski, and this is the channel that helps you own better, look better, and live better. The Franks Patriot boot is the one that I get so many questions about, and rightly so. I mean, people are interested. As soon as I saw this thing come out, I thought the same thing. I'm like, man, that's pretty impressive. We're talking about a $350 boot that is, I mean, that's 60% of the cost of their top tier Type 1 Commander boot. And it supposedly really doesn't give up much in the way of construction. How are they doing it? Just a little bit of background on Franks Boots. It's a family-owned business owned by Frank Patriot, who used to be a partial owner of Nick's Boots along with his mother and brother. Then he became a silent partner when Nick's was sold to Dick Hosley. Frank left in 2016 when Nick's was sold to the current owners and opened up shop in Nick's old building under the name Franks Boots. Along with his wife Michelle, who runs the marketing and social media side, Franks has gained quite a loyal following. It seemed over the last few years that there was a lot of confusion as to Frank's involvement with Nick's Boots, but actually the recent Stitchdown article and interview with Frank and his wife really cleared up a lot of that, and I've linked to that below. Now, in the Pacific Northwest of America, there are so many boot makers that frankly, I'm kind of surprised that there's enough business to go around. I mean, we've got White's, we've got Westco, we got Nick's, we got JK, now we have Franks, and of course, right over the border, we have Vibram. There's a lot of brands out there, a lot of boots being made, and evidently there's a big market for those. But Franks has really set themselves apart from the pack by offering all kinds of customization options. Not only customizations like the really cool Batman and Joker boots that they did recently, but they'll also do things to accommodate different needs. So if you have a missing toe or one foot is, a different shape than the other, they could accommodate those different things for people. They also have some really interesting models that nobody else has, like the Riker AT, which in my opinion is one of the best looking mixed media boots going today. The Patriot is made with the same Seidel 7.5 to 8 ounce leather, hardware, and outsole as the Type 1 Commander. It's also available with a safety toe and limited customizations. But it's really only when you look at the Type 1 Commander next to the Patriot that you pick up on some of the differences. The pull loop is deleted from the Patriot, the stitching is slightly different, and there's something going on with that leather. According to Frank, the leather for the Patriot is from a different part of the hide, where the leather is actually a little bit more flexible, so if you wanted an easier wearing boot with less break-in time, this actually might be a benefit. The other differences are inside the boot where you can't see them. The sole system is 3/4 of an inch rather than 1 inch, and the Patriot lacks a Mackay stitch where the Type 1 Commander has it. These are two items that may in fact lead to a slightly more flexible boot, which might be just what you want. Now, I wore the Patriot over the course of April this year on a hospital demo job that we're doing, and they performed just as I expected. The B-roll you're looking at here is when these boots were new. However, there is a channel called Quality Boots that documented his Patriot boots over about a month, and another guy named Keith Johnson who actually cut his in half recently, in case you want to see that, and I've linked both below. Having worn White's, Nick's, Westco, Drew's, JK, and now Franks boots, I'm familiar with the distinct feel of Pacific Northwest logger boots, and these don't feel any lesser than any of my other pair. That crazy arch support is there, the feel of several layers of thick leather beneath your feet, and the protection that it gives when you're kicking a shovel, climbing a ladder, or standing on rebar. Even with 1/4 inch less leather beneath your feet, they still feel incredibly robust and capable. As work boots, they deliver in the same way that my $600 boots, and it's honestly shocking when I remember how much they cost. As a tool, these boots perform flawlessly, although you do give up a little bit in the aesthetics and refinement department. So, case in point, the leather that's clearly wrinkled, probably during the lasting process. Now, if you're putting these boots to work every single day, you probably don't care about that, and honestly, to save a few $100 over the Type 1 Commander, I think it's a worthwhile trade-off. Now, admittedly, I'm not a boot maker, but all of these little changes don't really seem to add up to $225 worth of savings. But there is one more thing that I haven't discussed, and that's the fact that this boot cannot be rebuilt. A more accurate statement would be that it doesn't make financial sense to rebuild this boot. In an Instagram post, Frank actually said that they will not rebuild this boot, but the reason is that a rebuild will cost you $299. For $50 more, you could get a brand new pair of these. Regardless, I think that the percentage of people who actually buy boots, wear them enough to wear out the soles and have a couple of resoles done on them, then actually have them rebuilt, is a pretty low percentage of people who buy these boots overall. Now, to address the statement that I made at the beginning of this video regarding it being the worst business decision, maybe I was being a little bit hyperbolic, but the reason that Franks gave for creating this particular boot model was, at Franks, we understand the rising cost of inflation, from gas to groceries and so much more. We created a brand new boot at a fair price to reflect our values as an all-American sourced and crafted company. Which makes a lot of sense. When you're spending a lot of money on the essentials, there's less money left over for things like work boots. And boots like the White's Roughneck are going for $699 now. Now, I have to commend Frank and his team for doing something like this. This type of gesture is absolutely the type of thing that builds brand loyalty. Now, my concern is, though the Patriot will be putting boots on the feet of people who otherwise couldn't afford it, what does that say about their higher priced models? Now, ostensibly, there's not much of a difference between the materials and construction of the Patriot versus their top tier models, so are they possibly undercutting themselves? What would happen to a small family-owned company in their early days if they're being inundated with orders for a product which offers very, very little margin? Or let's kind of reverse this. Imagine if you had just paid $575 for a Type 1 Commander, and then the Patriot is introduced, claiming to have very similar build quality. I would want to know that the purchase that I just made was actually justified and was worth $225 more than the Patriot. It's possible that the Patriot was designed not only to help people, but also to build awareness of and goodwill toward Franks boots. This is something that is known as a loss leader in the industry, and basically the idea is that you'll purchase this very well-priced product, you'll experience the excellent Franks customer service, which truly is excellent, and then the next time you're looking to buy a boot, you may go back to them. You'd be more likely to, you're familiar with them, and maybe you'll buy a higher tier boot at that time. And it certainly could be that both things are true to one degree or another, and actually Franks wouldn't be the first to do it if that's what they're doing. Nix had a model called the Ash Kicker back in the day, which has since been discontinued. My sense is that people will just be really jazzed to save a lot of money on a great pair of boots. After all, the winners here are really the hardworking men and women out there. In the end, all I can say is, well done, Franks. The working people of America owe you a debt of gratitude. Now, the only other competition to the Patriot would be the Drew's Logger boots. Now, there are some differences between the two, including one that might be the absolute deal breaker for you. Luckily, I did a review of those not too long ago. You can go ahead and check that out right here. I will also be doing a comparison of these two boots side by side and really just try to put them to the test so that you can have all the information that you need to go forward and buy the best boots for your situation. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.